Hi everyone, I am Niroshan. Welcome back to my channel again. Today I am going to show you a simple hack how to improve your data presentation. Before you come up with the data presentation, these are some of the questions you might think. What is the core message for me? And who are the audiences? How do I communicate core messaging to my audiences? And also how to keep them alive throughout my presentation.
Let's start with the presentation. Before we go into the presentation, I would like to share a quote from Albert Einstein. So he says that if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So this is also true for today context of data presentation. So I found a typical slide from a monthly presentation. This slide shows that weekly performance for last few months, campaign by campaign, and also it try to show the trends. So the problem with this slide is that by looking at this you don't get anything, so you don't get any message out of it, right? I will show you how to convert this slide into a nice slide. Before we go into that, I would like to show you how human brain works, because we are presenting a slide or the progress report to customers. Basically they are humans, right? So we need to understand how the human brain works so that it's easy to come up with a nice presentation, and also it's easy to come up with a presentation which can engage our audiences, and also we should be able to communicate the key messaging as we want. In human brains, we can identify two key components which are relevant to our task. And first part is the logical part. Logical part is involving with the logical thinking and the calculation and all. And also we have a emotional part which involve in the emotional thinking and the related to emotions, right? So other characteristic of the brain is that emotional part works 95% of the time, but logical part works only 5% of the time. And also logical part can fed up easily, so that what happens is that logical part will start to avoid things. So if it's logical part if already fed up, then it will avoid to see things, right? So that's the main reason we might buy something we don't need, so we will end up buying. But when after we bought it, if we think about the decision we made, it doesn't make sense because the emotional part involved in making that decision, right? So I'll give you an example. Here if I ask 2 by 2, you will say 4, right? It's no brainer. And if I ask 4 by 4, you will say 16. So your logical part will calculate that and it will tell the answer. And then if I ask from you 1937 into 357, even your brain won't start to think, or even your brain won't start to calculate, because the logical part is too lazy, and also it doesn't want to come out and do this complex calculation unless we really force that part to come forward and work. So this is true for presentation also. If you have a like complex table, complex chart, then logical part will try to avoid the presentation, and the end of the day customer will lose the interest over the presentation, and also they won't get the message we wanted to communicate, right? And so objective of the presentation is to keep the logical part or the logical brain alive, which means we need to bring the simplicity. So the previous slide I showed you, it doesn't have the simplicity, it's complex. So we need to bring the simplicity, and also we need to communicate the right message. So to communicate the right message, we need to press the right emotion. To press the right emotion, we need to understand the requirement or the priority of our customer. Most of the time, if we present a progress report to a customer's main priority is to see whether his revenue went up, his profitability went up, and also is not the priority to see the what are the campaign history and the day by day campaign name and the campaign performance. So we need to understand the audience requirement, and also we need to come up with the slide which cater to that requirement. So I converted the complex chart into a presentation. First I start with the campaign slide title, and also I will define the time frame, because the time frame is important. Here I want to show April performance compared to March, And also my audience always looking for revenue uplift, so that I added 30% revenue increment. This is clear, right? This part clearly communicate the message. And then I added the secondary metric they want to look at, customer number of customers increased by 10%, so it's easy to communicate. And also I showed that return on ad spend increased by 17%. So these are the key metric customer want to know, so that straightforward I will communicate this. And also you might think, okay, we are not getting positive results always, so how do we can communicate that? That's true. Whenever we do campaigns, we go with the best option we have, right? Apart from the so many hypotheses we have, we'll go for the best hypothesis, so that there are high chance we can fail. That's fine. So whenever we have a negative results, that's also we need to communicate in a positive way. So I have a slide for that. So let's assume that our average order value is dropped by 10% for April compared to March. We need to communicate that, right? And also first bullet point, you can say average price per product drops since Facebook catalog optimized for ROS product. So in the first point, I want to tell the reason behind that, because we know that our metric is dropped, but we can do a data analysis. Maybe we can talk to customers, we can see the campaign, and we can actually identify a reason. Then we can show the reason. Then in the second bullet point, I show the next action we can take. So always think, whenever you have a negative impact, try to find the reason in the first point, and the next identify what are the action we can take to mitigate that. So then you actually, even though you have a negative impact, you can convince customer, so he will know that okay, you have a proper plan and you went through it, you did the thorough analysis over that, right? And this is the simple tactic I use. If you go to think with Google, you will see so many case studies, and also you will see so many chart and graph, so that if you go through that, you can get an idea how to create a slide, and also you can get an idea how to come up with a nice way to present your data. In think with Google, there are so many presentations available, so if you go one by one, you can convert your presentation into a nice presentation. And also because Google has a separate team, they are putting a lot of effort into presentation, they are putting effort into a psychology to improve their presentation, that we can directly copy from that. And also if you noted, Google Slides, they use gray color font, and also they have a standard font. They all this stuff they came out of as a result of their research. So by replicating that, we can improve our presentation further. And also don't forget to look at canva.com and the PowerPoint templates. From that also you can get an idea how to create a presentation. So overnight you won't be able to come up with your existing presentation to a really cool presentation. It's a continuous improvement. So because let's say we might, as data analysts, we are making presentation continuously, so we need to improve one by one. So every day if we can improve a small percentage of my presentation, then after 2 months it will be a significant improvement. Yeah, so this is the small hack from me. So I know that there are experienced people in this industry, in the marketing analytic industry, and people who has good presentation skills. So I would like to hear from you. And also if you have any hack or any sort of guidelines, please feel free to share it. Thank you.